It is 7 p.m., so we'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held in council chambers at 216 Main Street, Swan River, this 8th day of April 2025 at 7 p.m. Present this evening, Reeve, Gade, Councillors Burick, Zbirun, Neely, Kushniryk, McGregor, and Blosha. CEO Kristi Ronnquist is here, and our videographer Jeremy R Bergen joins us as well. We will jump into the agenda at number 2. Be it resolved, the agenda for the regular meeting of council held this 8th day of April 2025 shall be adopted as presented. Is there a mover? So Councillor Kushniryk, and we'll take Councillor McGregor there as well. Any additions or changes to the agenda? Hear nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Number 3, adopting the minutes. 2 batches of minutes tonight. Be it resolved the minutes of the special council meeting held March 19th, 2025 be adopted as presented, and the minutes of the council meeting held March 25th, 2025 be adopted as presented. Is there someone to move the resolution? We'll take Councillor Neely and Councillor Burick down at the end. Both minutes are attached. Has everybody had an opportunity to go through them? Does anyone need more time? Were there any errors or omissions found in the minutes? We'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Public Works report is attached as number 4. I'll read from it. This is a transportation report. Working on the 2025 gravel maps. In fact, when I got here at 4:30, the gravel map was just being rolled up, so it's well in hand. Operators have put their miles on it already. It'll be appearing for council shortly for us to take a peek at it, but they looked through the places that were missed last year, so those are marked separate from the places new, so we make sure we get to those ones first and get the gravel on there and don't miss them again. Starting some patchwork on bridges and low-level crossings this week, so you'll fill in the potholes and such. They've also been doing a lot of work in culverts, so they've steamed out some culverts in Manitoba and done some of that as conditions warrant. 870 Durban is sitting. Chad Staples supposed to be looking at over the weekend. We haven't heard yet if he was there or not. We're going to check into that a little bit more. After the last two weeks, which much of that will be an in-camera discussion tonight, but the field level hazard assessments have been put in place for the municipality to help us stop the little track record we've had here for the last couple of weeks of accidents. Operators are being asked to fill them out on a regular basis. We had those cards already. We've had them for a few years, but we're actually going to use them now and do a little more at hazard assessment because we're having some, as you've probably seen, some issues with hazard assessment. Being a lift station, so there's the new one that's functional, but there's that old blue one beside there. Its lid has been knocked loose, so anybody can just pull that off and go in. So tomorrow they're going to be attaching that lid to make sure that nobody can get in there, especially now that it's springtime and kids might be playing around there. We don't want any accidents. And looking at developing some safe operating procedures to the Benito landfill, along with some other ones. So trying to get this stuff written down, so as we have new employees come and go, that we actually have something to say, read this and understand what we're doing. And we'll get a little tighter, especially the landfill, but on some other things as well. So that is the report from the lead hand tonight. Discussion?
That leachate pond, that's something that was never there before, right?
So we haven't built the leachate pond yet. This is just the pit that's been there for a couple of years.
This is the thing, is a temporary thing?
This is just water at the bottom of the pit.
Where people throw their household stuff.
Yes.
I thought we were pumping that out to another spot or something.
We haven't built the spot yet.
Oh, okay.
That's on the list for this year. Yeah. Get the spot built and pump it
That
out.
explains all the garbage bags and everything.
Yeah.
Else. No.
I don't think we thought there was that much water in there, although it wasn't all water. A lot of it was mud too, right? Because we went through the water that sunk into the mud. But
is there any groundwater there?
There is.
It's all groundwater then? It's not runoff water, right?
When they dug the pit, they hit a little bit of sand on the side and water started dripping out.
Oh.
And then as time went on, the water got covered in plastic containers so it wouldn't evaporate anymore.
Yeah.
So instead of drying out like it used to, the plastics kept the water there, which is why we now have to build a leachate pond and pump it.
Guys should take a tour out there, I guess, and see what's what.
Don't go on the ice. just
Great,
word of
boss.
advice.
You got it, boss.
We're just not do that again.
Even with a life jacket?
Well, you can have a life jacket, but you can't ride home in our vehicle. Anything further on Public Works?
I messaged Chad just to check on the grader.
Okay,
He was sick this past week and didn't get there, but he's planning to be there Saturday.
okay, good. We'll move to number 8, our financial items. You may note there's nothing on there. So Munisoft has performed an update on our accounting system, which has now taken all of Friday, all of Monday, and they have now finished late this afternoon. So unfortunately, checks were not printed because we couldn't get into the system. But we do have the new version now, and everything's supposed to be wonderful and better, and we'll be seeing all that stuff shortly.
But all those checks will go out and stuff, everybody get paid.
Yeah, the
on
things that
time.
need to go will still get to go, but. That takes us all the way into number 9 already. So we'll start our discussion with the Neptune software subscription. So you may recall the story of this. I'll recap it though. So in Benito we use about 100 Neptune wireless water meters. And for years we've used a little handheld device that's quite old and reads the meters. And if you go back a couple years here at Council, we got a presentation on how we needed to upgrade the software to some newer software so it would keep working. And that was great, and we spent $8,000 on the privilege of doing that. And then after that was all done and installed, they said, and that'll be good for 1 year. And we said, what do you mean 1 year? We don't want software that we pay for every year. And they said, oh, well, that's the new way. We've taken the old software away and now you pay every year. So we've come to the point of the year where we now have to pay them again. And they would like $4,285, which equates to about $50 a house to read water meters per year. So my suggestion is we cancel the subscription. And my plan, I was actually out last night reading water meters, not using any Neptune hardware or software. So I drove around town, read the water meters, we checked the readings, they're right. Because you can actually just buy a $100 piece that does all the same stuff. So that's what we did last night to
Yeah,
prove it
they'll
works.
just read it from
I just drove around the
outside.
van. I had it sitting in the seat in my van. I just drove up and down every street in Benito and read the water meters. Brought the list back. Yep, there they are.
And you double check some of them meter.
So it actually picked up because we did it with Neptune this time as well, and it missed a few houses. And this thing actually picked up the houses it missed.
Well, I
So-
guess we're canceling.
Well, if we need it back, we can always buy it again. But I don't think we're going to need this thing. Do you want a resolution to cancel it so we make it official?
Yeah.
Be it resolved that we cancel the Neptune online subscription and use an alternate method to read water meters for a savings of $4,285 per year. Who'd like to make the resolution? Councillor Blosha, someone to second it. Councillor McGregor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 9.2, gravel supply. Attached is a map of Kane's Pit. So this is the map you're kind of used to seeing, I think, from other years. We've had the drone out and done this. So there's all the piles. You'll notice the main pile for Swan Valley West is 32,934 yards. There's the 1.5-inch pile of 6,913 yards. You'll also notice we have a volume 4 pile where we own 600 yards. That's because somebody else bought 5,000 and over a little, so we're taking the 600 from there. And then volume 7, a small portion of that is ours. I think it's the 260, isn't it?
So I just
Yeah,
remember.
because it was supposed to be a 1,000-yard pile. So we're going to haul 260 out of that pile and the 500 out of that other pile to start, just to get them down to the size they were supposed to be. And then the people that wanted those piles for other things will have them. The ones with the lines through them, obviously that's gravel, it's for somebody else. But that's what we have on the ground out that way. Crushing is moving to the north now, Campbell's. We also have that cook pile, so that's in addition to this. So all told, we have 16 and 33, you could call it 34 almost. So we've got almost 50 on the ground near Benito.
So cooks are all done, any crushing them?
I've told them to let us know if they're going someplace we want more gravel, but they're going to Big Woody and we didn't order any gravel there. It's just too sandy.
So they're going to their own pit now?
Yeah. But I said if they go someplace else where there's gravel we want, give us a call. We're not opposed to getting to crush some, but.
Their own pit on 163, is that what the old pit? Is
Yeah.
that where they're at now?
I think that's what they're calling the Big Woody Pit.
Last time I talked to them, they were talking about moving back out there.
And I said to them, well, if you're crushing there, bring us a pail.
Yeah,
Let's look at it, but what we've seen there before, we didn't like. But
such a good location.
I know, it would be nice if they had good gravel there. In any case, that is just for information. Does anyone else want to talk about gravel yet tonight for any reason?
How much how much is he crushing in Birch?
We're hoping to get 10 in Birch, maybe 12 if we're lucky, but 10 for sure.
We would be up to about 62 then.
Yeah. And if we don't use it all, that's okay.
That's right.
You know, get to start on next year, but if we need it, if we have a bad year,
Yeah.
we have it.
At least we won't run out.
Yeah. And we're still, my hope is that we go back at this in the fall. We brought that money forward from last year's budget. So I'm hoping we go back at this in the fall and crush more for next year yet. Or whenever time allows, right? Just try and get it worked in.
Yeah.
We know we're gonna
Sounds
use
good.
it.
Sounds good.
It's a lot easier to do when it's not frozen, but this 33,000 yards they have there, they only crushed a couple thousand yards and stopped because the screens they were using, that material wouldn't go through them when it was cold. So they bought whole new screens for the outfit and could crush all winter. So they now have the ability to crush in that pit through the winter if they have to.
That's cooked.
Uh,
The berry.
Burick, yeah. So, and he's at spec. When Cook's crushed during the winter, they were crushing 1 inch, where our spec is 3/4. And so all the gravel was a little big, right? It came off a little easier. Barry kept it at 3/4 through the winter. So it should be better gravel for packing in and actually beating the spec we wanted. This is the hope. We'll see. But we'll see. 9.3, the G4, G8 agenda, that is coming up. Now, we proposed some dates for that. There's been a little drama with some of our other municipal partners on the date, but we're working that out. We are reminding folks that we need agenda topics for it. So if you have something you think we should be talking about as a group of municipalities, we would really like those suggestions now if you have them, otherwise in a few days.
What are the dates for that, proposed dates? Or you're not finalized yet?
June 23rd is the proposed date.
June 23rd.
The drama relates to somebody else having planned theirs in July.
Oh.
But the Minnetonus one was so late, unless we were
Yeah.
going to do ours 2 weeks after Minnetonus, it's kind of got the whole year's schedule not in a good spot.
It almost missed one.
You know,
They should
September's
release those
better.
September, I know. But we'll see. 9.4. So I should say, does anyone have topics now they want to throw for G4, G8? Okay, so think about it, please. We're looking for some stuff to talk about there. 9.4, a GIS update meeting is being planned. So a bunch of dates were circulated. Only May 14th worked for Minnetonus, so the thought is it's probably going to be May 14th. This is for the RCMP to meet with all 4 councils and tell us what the heck their plan is to get this thing off the ground. So we'll let you know the 9 or 1 thing as that gets sorted out. But I'm hoping for 1, we'll see how it turns out. We'll be in touch. 9.5, dust control. You'll remember a little while back, last meeting or so, we had this list of roads. We discussed that it would become final tonight and that anyone that had things they wanted to change would be bringing them forward. We haven't heard any changes. Are we good with this being the final list? Is there last chance for things to be changed? So earlier today, we published quote requests for dust control for the companies to bid on the actual chemical. So that's gone out. We'll be getting those back shortly. We, in that request, asked if they would be available in early May instead of late May. So we could do it 2 or 3 weeks earlier than we have been, which means we'll start pushing this to ratepayers in the next day or so. Our plan is to call through the list of everyone that had it to make sure they know. We'll advertise it around, but otherwise, the goal will be to get them in here by the end of April-ish, so that we don't let it drag into the first week of June again. Everybody's good with that?
So is this just a list of the 50% cost ones? That's all it is?
Mostly.
mostly.
There's a couple spots out there that would pay 100%.
Because I don't notice the Pioneer one on here. Is it on here?
218,
218,
east of Highway 588.
that's east of Highway
Highway 10,
to Highway 10. What?
Cost me $1, Councillor Burick.
Unless I see it somewhere.
I'd frame it.
Just had a little wager going over whether that would get mentioned.
Oh, here we go.
it's not on there, Brian.
It never's been on there.
The Pioneer one, yeah. Because I don't see a date for people to get
So I
there.
see 218 east of Highway 58, Highway 10.
Yeah, that's east.
all the way.
That's not it.
No. It's just that I want it somewhere so that come the time to put it on, it's not on there.
It doesn't get forgotten.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're wanting 10 to Pioneer Access Road?
To be 218 from, you can see
East-
from number,
east-
east of number
east of
10 to
Highway
railroad
10.
crossing.
East of 10 to
East of 10 to
Railroad.
railroad crossing, yeah. At least it's on there, because this way, if it's not on there, time will come to put it on and it'll be forever because it's not on there.
Okay, so that will be changed.
Just add it on somehow, just so there's,
Anything else?
Just on this, I don't know if I'm not reading, I'm not missing, or
which one's that, Terry?
when this request has to be in, what's the deadline for people to have it in?
We haven't put a date on this form yet, I don't think, but we're looking to have it in
And April.
end of April.
Okay, that's why I can't see it. It's
Yeah,
not there.
try and
It's
get
not
it
on there.
sped up a bit.
Okay,
Because a lot of traffic is going in May before we're getting it done.
well, I got no much to order and stuff too, right? So,
Even if we don't get it all done, they're here a couple times, we get most of it knocked off that first week or two of May, and then catch some up at the end of May if we had to, but if we could get it all done the first week of May, it would be kinda nice.
there's always the odd one that comes in late.
Yeah. We're gonna order up a little bit of the dry stuff too, a skid or two of it, so we have it for patch-ups, and perhaps that road if needed.
And we got our own water truck now, so.
Will do.
Well, that Pioneer one will have to be done probably with dry, eh?
I'm not paying her another $1 though. It's the first
Because
time.
right now, if you wait for the liquid to come, it'll be ended beginning of June when it's done. It's too late.
Well, except if we're doing the liquid the first week of May. Like that's what the discussion's going on, is dust control's happening first week of May
Okay,
instead of first week of June.
okay.
Try and get it in earlier. Anything else for dust control? Moving to 9.6, animal controls. This is rural animal control officer report from our new animal control officer. So just one topic in there really of the 2 dogs on the Highway 10 area that was looked for, not found. But we have spoken to the owners of those dogs and found out what the issue was, and that has been resolved. So that should be done. I can further confirm that we were in Kenville on the weekend. And there was enforcement action. There was, enforcement's the wrong word. There was education action taken earlier in the day in Kenville on Saturday. Later in the day, enforcement action was taken against an individual, and they'll be receiving a ticket in the mail shortly for an infraction. I imagine there'll be fireworks for that. A reminder of how the animal control bylaw works as we issue that ticket. They will be given the ticket, they have the option to pay the $100 fine they'll be receiving, or to appear at council to contest it. We will set a hearing date for them as we mail the ticket, so that will be one of our regular council evenings. If they haven't paid the fine at that point, we will have a hearing that night to determine if we uphold the fine or not. If we do, they either pay it or it goes on their taxes. So they will have an opportunity to contest it if they so desire, or they can just pay the $100 and be done with it. But it relates to a dog that was at large. Your resolution be resolved, the rural animal control report for March 2025 be received and approved for payment. Councillor Neely, and I see Councillor Blosha there as well. Any further discussion? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 9.7, a request was received from the Swan River District Community Resource Council. We recognize this from last year as a request for us to help with services to seniors for their coffee and a chat. So this is a little bit more of a vague request, but we believe it to be that same type of thing. They've been attending to the Benito Drop-In Center every month or so, doing their thing. Last year, I don't remember services at $500 or something we gave them. It was an amount similar to that. We could look up exactly what it was. What's the feeling of council tonight?
Being a senior, I guess, I'm in favor.
What kind of an amount would you like to stick to it?
What was it last year?
I think it was.
What was the amount, 500 you said?
I think it was 500, it was 4 or 5, it was right in there, it wasn't more than that.
Same
I
thing.
wasn't go for
Same.
500 for sure, I guess.
As the only senior in the room, you think that's?
He buys you a couple of lunches nowadays, what is?
Any further discussion? So we have a resolution, be it resolved that a grant of $500 be authorized for the Swan River District Community Resource Council. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Neely and I see Councillor Burick.
Too old for it.
Toodles.
Call the question, those in favor?
Well, you're
Don't throw the raisins.
all three of us.
I remember when I was the youngest one at one time, but not anymore.
9.8, a copy of the LUD unsightly and unsafe property bylaw is attached to the agenda tonight. So I wanted to explore with council some feelings on this, where you want to go with this. I know it can be a thorny topic. We do now have a bylaw officer. Not a lot of time on their hands. They certainly, a few hours a week is all that's available. That's probably all we want available. Do we want to pursue anything in the Benito area? This is what the rules actually say for it. I would very much like us to give some thought to making this be the urban area rather than the Benito area, so it would cover off Kenville as well. Because Kenville could maybe use some sort of stricter rules than we have in the general rural area. We don't need a decision tonight, but I wanted you to start thinking about it, seeing where you want to go. I drove around Benito last night doing those water meter reads. There's certainly a few properties in Benito that we could encourage to make the town a little nicer. But there's a limit to how far we want to go too, right? There's always those trade-offs.
Has
So
there been any complaints from people who look for?
people have mostly stopped complaining when we didn't do anything.
They tend to do that after a while. Start throwing beer bottles at you instead.
Yeah, there hasn't been much. We had a little complaint about that new construction, which I think we mostly worked through. There's just some places there that
It would perk the town up if it,
a little bit, like when you get you can't tell how many vehicles in the front yard because there's so many pieces. Sometimes you start thinking maybe we should encourage them to at least put them back together.
well, trying to promote Benito, I guess, is not helping much, right?
And it's, my personal belief is I don't want the government in my business for any reason, any time. But you have the trade-off of the other people live in the community, and so you try and find that middle ground. Is it fair to let you all think about it for 2 weeks and harass you again in 2 weeks' time for your thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Could you commit to please reading through this so you understand what the current rules are?
It's quite lengthy.
It is. And I'd like to know, if there's rules there that you don't like, we can remove them. If there's rules you think should be there, we can add them. We should make this something that works for our urban areas, and we should think about, does this apply to just Benito, or should this be to Benito? And should it be, the urban area of Benito, not the LUD, which is two different things, right? We'd catch those houses across the highway with it. Should this be in Kenville? Should this be in Potton Drive? Should such a thing exist there? And then what are those rules that we think are... I don't want something in here that we're going to say, it's in here, but we never enforce it. If we don't believe in it, let's get rid of it. And if we do believe in it, then let's have the right stuff in there and give some small attempt to say to people, hey, you know, there's some rules, try to follow them. Is that fair?
It's good, yeah, good idea,
Okay.
good plan.
Anything else on that? 9.9, 'tis the season to have a financial plan hearing. So I have a resolution for that, but I also have some discussion. So everybody has a copy tonight of a document that looks like this. That is the printout from our budget meeting a few nights back. The only changes that have been made to this is the amount of money pulled back from the other year to make this balance. So you remember when we were done, I said we would adjust to make it so we brought enough in. So this brings forward, I believe, $181,000 from last year's surplus. It brings forward the $50,000 from emergency reserve, $50,000 from paved road reserve, which was enough then to balance off what we had from the deficit, and brings us within $1,000 of balance. So we'll just sort that $1,000 out somewhere. It would mean last year's assessment in Swan Valley West was $292 million and change. This year's assessment is $302 million and change. So at the same mill rate, we would generate 4.348 million. If we had a 2% increase, we would generate 4.435 million. That is what this budget contains, is that 2% increase to the mill rate. I look at it that way because the assessment went up because we got more stuff. But you can look at it the other way, as I know Mr. Bergen will look at it from the newspaper and look at the pure income amount of money. Even though assessment went up, he'll say, well, the actual tax dollars you're bringing in are different. If you calculate it that way, it's 5.6%. I know last year when I called it a 2 or 3% increase, he called it the other. And the people are gonna do that. So I wanted you to hear both versions of that number. Is that something we're comfortable with? If we want it to come down, really we need to cut something.
What you're saying is 2% was the increase in assessment.
Right,
If the assessment stayed the same, it'd be 5.6%.
right. And some of that assessment is new construction. It's not all just farmland increase. There is some new construction in that, obviously. Don't have to have a decision tonight, but we certainly need a decision soon. If you want to make changes, we could schedule another meeting for budget hearing or budget discussion. If it's simple changes, we can do them. I've got it here tonight. We need to schedule the public hearing. The idea is to schedule that for the 13th of May, which is a regular council meeting night. So we would start with that public hearing, then go into council. It has to be passed by the 15th of May. So that's the last possible night to pass it. We would give first reading to it at our next meeting. So first reading would be at the 22nd. We could do 1 or 2 readings that night or 1 or 2 readings the other night. But that's the timeline we need to meet.
I think there might be a few mistakes, that's the problem. Just looking at one here, 530, 400, 224. That's gotta be a mistake.
Which number,
You
Carrie?
don't go up
Which one?
25.
Which number did you say?
Grader blades?
Yeah, you don't go up $50,000. That's gotta be a mistake.
That was last year, I think there's a mistake in there.
Which number did you say, Carrie?
We're budgeting
current is
25.
530, 400, 224.
Yeah, remember last year, we were wondering what happened there, but it's gotta be just this
We're
code.
budgeting 25,000 this year.
Yeah,
So we're sticking at the 25.
okay, well, I'm mixed up here on these numbers.
Yeah,
This is
the
very,
headers don't follow.
this is hard to read,
It
yeah.
is.
Anyway, we can look at that and just mark off stuff and ask it next time, correct?
Or even send it in, if you look at it in the next
Yeah.
day or two, send it to us before that, and we can sort it out, so we're not, you know, that night saying, oh my gosh, let's do it, we can, Lois can do her magic to it ahead of time, we'll get all that stuff answered.
What did we come up with for a total budget then with this proposed increase?
So last year, our total amount of tax money
Dollars raised.
was 4.200 million.
2025 proposed.
if we at the mill, like with just the assessment change, it would be 4.348.
I'm sorry,
348.
4.348.
And if we added 2% onto the mill rate, it would make 4.435. And that is where we're at right now, is 4.435. Within it, we're $102 away from being balanced. So we're right close to that.
That's what we're budgeted right now, 4.435, right?
Yeah.
$200,000 more than last year. That's pretty close.
It's 5.6% more on the dollar mark, right?
When you look at the price increase on stuff in the last year, I mean, it's,
Well, we didn't put enough into reserves last year either, so we're doing more of that this year.
yes,
Because
So-
we've doubled what's going into
Yeah, we're-
reserves.
Yeah, like, so that's a big chunk right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, so
And
we-
I don't think we can take that out.
no,
We
some
have
of
to.
it should
We're
have
gonna
been,
need
some of it should have been
new
there last
equip-
year, so the difference wouldn't be
Yeah.
as big this year,
Yeah.
right?
We're gonna need new equipment, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're running up.
I think to me, this is livable numbers.
Yeah, no,
I took a breeze through it, nothing just jumped out at me as, oh, we should get rid of, like, there's no $100,000 I can think of we just take out. We have budgeted, like, if you go back many years, at times we budgeted, so if we knew it was gonna be 25,500, we call it 25,000. These days, we call it 26,000. So we're never short by a few dollars on every single line, which the last few years, at the end of the year, we've never run out of money, and we usually had a little bit left over that we then can use for something else, whether it goes into reserves or whatever. So we could sharpen all those things down by $500, but I don't think it's a good idea to do it, because if something bad happens,
You're gonna end up short on something.
and we have a shortfall, then what do we do? We're far
Better
better
to
off
have
to have a
some
little
left over
extra.
at the end of the year, it saves the next tax year, you know?
no, I think it looks good.
So let's give it a read through. If you see anything, if there's changes, anything at all, you don't wait for the next meeting. Talk to Kristi ahead of time, because then we can get that circulated to everybody, we can think about it, and then we're ready to go next meeting, rather than just starting to talk about it. If there's any clarification, anything you want, if you want to see more from previous years, and whatever you need, talk to Kristi, and we'll get it for you before the meeting, so you have it. Anything else on the budget discussion? I have the resolution for the public hearing. I can't tell if you want.
Go.
If you want to go, go. That's
I
not
would
the
like to
big
see
deal.
here another column that shows at large, how much they're paying at large. The LUD. Like the wages, the wages are, whatever, $100,000.
Okay,
And then I would like to see, at the end of it, the LUD is paying X number at large on those wages. Gravel hauling or crushing or whatever else they're paying for. I'd like to see a column at large what they're paying.
okay.
Because I have no idea what they're paying.
Can I also do Bottom Drive as an
Yeah,
area? So
yeah,
I see
whatever,
Bottom
do
Drive
everything,
shows-
everything. Who's ever paying at large?
So where do we end with that? Do we do like each ward, we want to see how much each ward
No.
contributes, or?
Well, this is all our wards here, but the LUD is the LUD. How much are they paying at large?
Same as everybody else does. 14.38 mils last year. Like, that's what I'm trying to get, I'm trying to make sure I give you the information you want. Because like, we don't say how much does Mr. Neely's house pay of this budget, and put a line here that says Mr. Neely, and here's the amount he pays. So I'm trying to
But
get.
Mr. Neely doesn't have an LED though.
Doesn't matter if he does or doesn't, like everybody pays the same percentage on their assessment at large.
Yeah. Can I speak?
Sure.
I'm not on, I don't want to get in the middle of you two, but I am anyways, but, the way I see it, LUD pays, like Bill said, whatever their assessment is, 14 point some mils on that. Now, Benito, some other properties, are assessed lower than the same property in different parts of our municipality. So they get a savings that way. The LUD is paying, every house in Benito is paying their share of the gravel costs, the wages, whatever expenses we have in the municipality. The only thing they pay in their LUD budget is anything extra that they have, that the rest of us don't benefit from.
That's just the garbage pickup, really.
Garbage pickup, a little bit on sidewalks.
Is that a fairly accurate
Yes.
statement? Because this has been going around my head for 10 years, and I still have trouble with it.
See, for 2 years, I say, well, what about grass cutting? What about snow removal? Well, we pay at large at that, so it's all one. Well, how much do you pay at large?
So
That's what you've been telling me for the last 2 years. Grass cutting, snow removal, whatever else. You know, we can't budget just for that because we'll pay at large. Well, how much do you pay at large?
But that's where our percentage is the same as everybody else. So if we do the LUD, we can do Durbin, we do Kenville, we do the side of Swan River, do we pick half of Ward 6?
If Durbin has an LUD, yes, we'll do it to
Do we
Durbin.
pick a quarter
If
section?
Kenville has an LUD, yes, we'll do it to Kenville, but they do not.
Okay, so last meeting I expected.
You've been telling me for the last 2 years, because I've been harping at you that they need you, the LUD, and I'm sorry, I keep saying you, and it's not you. You tell me the LUD are paying at large. And now when I say, okay, how much are they paying at large? Put it down, I wanna see it. And now all of a sudden, well, we're all paying at large.
Well, it's
You
out
gotta make
there,
up your mind.
it's out there for anyone to figure. You have to take the assessed value of the LUD and you can figure it out. But
If I look at this, if anybody looks at this, you tell, and they'll say, well, how much, which one of these items are they paying at large on?
all,
All of them.
All of them?
everything.
So then if I can go, if it costs us, whatever, $3 million to run the Swan Valley West, so we take 3.5% of $3 million, and that's how much you guys are paying?
I don't know if it's 3.5%.
Or whatever the percentage is.
Yeah,
So that's what you're paying?
yeah.
So why can't you put that down?
It is, it's just how you read it's there.
Well, for us guys that can't see it, just have a column there and say, this is what they're paying. Because I looked at old budget sheets and whatnot, and it'll say, you know,
So,
this year is paying by taxation, this year is paying by taxation, oh, this year is paying by at large, this year is paid by at large. Why can't we do that?
they don't exist anymore. The differential rates don't exist anymore. See, last meeting or 2 meetings ago, I expected us to have this discussion, so I brought some stuff to show you. If you look at a place now, because we've been in a lot of conflict in Swan Valley West, and everybody wants to fight and argue about this stuff, it's always in the forefront.
The one-
Now, if you go over to Minnetonka, they've now switched to the same format, but nobody talks about it. Minnetonka is bigger than Benito and pays less tax than Benito to operate Minnetonka's. Their services haven't dropped. They get door-to-door recycle pickup still, same as Bozeman, and they're paying less than we do. But because nobody wants to harp on the old ways, and they're just moving forward, that's the way it goes.
But I mean, it goes to reason. If you got 1,000 people paying on the village, and you got 250 people paying on the village, and you need the same X number of dollars to run both are the same, who is gonna get taxed more?
But it takes more services to look after 450 people versus 350.
Does it?
And they have door-to-door recycle pickup, which is huge.
Does it?
there.
I mean, Benito had 400, 500 people there, and the streets haven't got any bigger. We still grade down the same
So
street,
let's-
even if there's nobody living there, or
Let
if
me
there
give
is
you that.
anybody living
But
there.
rather than dicker, let me give you that. But they are paying 37,000 a year and we're paying 50. So you win that, but we're still the same amount. Like there is no benefit to breaking that column out, but to hold on to something that's been gone for how many years now and to continue to argue into the future about it.
Well,
Because I do, if you had, if your house,
it just seems like it's very, very, very convenient. Like when I first started arguing about it, everybody told me, well, we pay at large, we pay at large. And then I started asking, well, how much do you pay at large? And now, well,
So we
everybody pays at
absolutely
large,
do.
so we
We
still can't
absolutely
show
do.
you any numbers.
what is our LUD mill rate right now?
LED mill rate last year.
So you and I.
Whatever, hey, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, put it down. Write it down, how much you pay. How much you're budgeting for at large for the LED to pay this amount.
There's
Well,
no
we don't
such thing as
budget.
that.
If our assessment
Well, that's
dropped
like
to
me saying, how
nothing,
much does your house budget at large to pay? At large is just the same percentage for everybody.
Well, I can tell you exactly how much my taxes and how much I budget.
but if your
Last year,
house is worth 100,
14.368 mils.
Well, I can give you dollar figures,
I know, but that's different for every property, right? That's why we express.
but then
it
everybody
stays
has
the
a
same.
budget, right? So that, I mean, it's the same thing in Benito. If somebody has a 1,000 square foot home, is he gonna pay the same taxes as somebody that has 3,000
okay,
foot
so
home?
you're
So they budget differently,
You're
right?
leading right into what I'm saying. Now, if you have a $100,000 house and I have a $100,000 house, we live side by side, we will pay exactly the same at large, exactly the same. But you're
How
saying-
much is that?
So it's $15 or whatever. It's exactly the same. I don't care if it's $15, $100 on that $100,000, it's exactly the same. But you're saying that you budget different according to what your value is. So Benito's quarter section is 7.5 million, roughly $8 million is its value. The quarter
worth-
beside us is an $8 million.
9.35.
So we are paying tax on 3.5% or whatever number it is on $8 million. The quarter over is paying on $500,000.
So all I wanna know is that $15, put it down there.
The easiest way to figure that would be to take the total assessment of the village of Benito.
Which is in the back end of the budget,
Okay, multiply that times the mill rate.
which is right in the same line.
Okay, comes to a dollar value, then you divide that by the total budget for the municipality, and that'll give you the percentage that Benito's paying for the whole budget.
So Benito is 3.02% of the entire municipality by assessment. It's $9,359,390 this year. Everything outside of Benito is $300,023,020. And if we multiply the mill rate times by 0.0438, Benito is paying $134,588 of at-large based on the assessment of the LUD.
Thank you. Why can't we write that down?
Do you want just that, or do you like what I'm hearing you saying is you want on every single line
Well-
here a thing that says how much of this
I would
line?
like at least one line with that on, saying, okay, this is how much we're getting from the LED. 100 and whatever, 34,000, whatever it is.
134,000.
You know,
That we
thank
can
you,
easily do.
thank you.
134,000 out of
It kinda
4.2
used to
million.
be like that anyway.
Boy, that was a hard one.
And a lot of that
The hard thing is though, I can see where this goes, where now you look at this and you say, okay, so we pay 134,000 plus we pay 50,000 for the LED, that's 184,000, but then you're gonna go and say, but years ago you used to pay this much. But we also got all the government grants and everything that now come to Swan Valley West. So there's so many variables in play that number is irrelevant to everything else.
I mean, I said it 100 times in the last dozen years. LUD should have never taken place in Benito. They would have saved all this problem.
Yeah, it
Should have
should.
never been there.
Then it would just be,
The same as it is,
Everything.
it'd be the same as it is now,
Yeah.
because that's the way it is. Actually, the LED,
Yeah, and what
They don't need to be
with
there.
10 years less aggravation.
they don't. You could save $10,000 right there.
well, because what we would
They don't
have,
need to be there
The
anymore.
lunch committee,
Yeah,
yeah.
So
what
I
we'd
mean,
have
so
is
you
a
can take-
special services fee for garbage pickup.
So yeah, they pay
Right,
extra
and
for
then
That's
you
that.
still
different.
pay that same
They
amount
say,
extra.
like they would do out in Watton Drive if they wanted it, you know, same thing, right, special levy.
The trouble is, back when I got on the LUD in Benito, I said, right to the municipal service, I said, it's useless. It serves no purpose if you had a council that was doing it properly. People don't want to get rid of it though, because they're scared of going back to what you're proposing. So if they go back to that. if
They're
you-
scared of losing control. That's the way it started them in the beginning. They wanted the control of their town.
Yeah,
And the only way they had any kind of control was a LUD. But financially, it was not in their best interest. Okay?
oh, there's no
I
way.
told them at the table that time, you guys are far better off to forget this LUD thing.
Yeah,
So what you're telling me is right now the LED don't get no gas tax or no
No.
grants or.
we don't get any of that anymore.
Nothing, it all comes to municipality.
That stopped. That, we still did until we did it and corrected things. There's no portions of that going to us anymore. Now, rightfully, gas tax goes to the entire municipality. If some of it needs to be spent in Benito, just like it would be spent on a bridge in Ward 6 or 5 or 3 or whatever else, that is here for everybody. It's, but we don't want this big disproportionate amount where you give us 80% of it or something, no.
So there was like $300,000 coming in grants and stuff?
I don't remember the exact
No,
amount.
their
I think it
budget,
was
their budget was.
100 and some thousand, I think we used to get.
Because you said it'll only take, you're spending $134,000 to run the town, but you're not getting any of the grants, but, and we proved that it used to take $400,000 to $500,000 to run the town.
Those numbers weren't accurate, because what we found was that it included reserve transfers in and out. So a bunch of that was inflated numbers. Because I think $50,000 went into reserve and then some was drawn out that year, that all showed in that. So it was higher than it had actually been, because we went back to the actual service plans and none of them were that high.
Would have been at least 300,000 to 400,000.
Yeah, it was never more than.
Well, we've got 180 and we've got, I know it was over 100 in grants we lost. So that's 300 right
I've
there,
got,
that's on top of our.
I've got
big
old
numbers.
minutes from 2012, and their budget, they never set their budget, but what we did, you know, at the start of the year, right? And that alone added up to, what was it, 380,000, and they never even set their regular budget, it was just to keep them going. So that year it was at least 380, if not more. I mean, it's gotta be more because they never,
Seemed to me when amalgamation took place, they were, but maybe what Bill said was part of it too, you know, transfer.
It just isn't what you want, but it's what you can get for tonight, and we'll get those other numbers put on. That is the assessment broke out for the LUD versus the rule for every year going back to 2015, I think is on there. So you can see the raw assessment amounts and see how it's changed for each area, which is a start. With that times the mill rate, you get the number you're looking for, but we'll get that number you want put on there. So it's calculated out.
okay,
But that'll give you the stuff to be able to calculate yourself too in the meantime.
perfect. Perfect.
Anything else on?
You were gonna set the public hearing.
Yes. We resolved the public hearing for the 2025 financial plan and budget bylaw be held 7 p.m. May 13th, 2025 at the municipal office at 216 Main Street, Swan River. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Burick, and I see Councillor Kushniryk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? So we will advertise that as per normal. You'll see the start times a couple times. And again, please.
That's a regular meeting date.
It's a regular meeting,
Yes.
Terry.
Yeah, so
May-
the start of the
Start-
regular meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
May
No,
13th.
I just wrote it
Right.
down,
Yeah.
but I was
Yeah,
making
that
sure.
I won't be here.
That's good.
Pretty please, if you have questions, changes, anything, don't wait until next meeting, please, ahead of time, so we can be ready and have the answers and be good to go. 9:10, I want to start this discussion here, and then I think we'll continue it in camera. So Benito Fire Hall, earlier today, reps from the Benito Fire Department came in, they presented us a new drawing for the proposed Benito Fire Hall, which everybody has a copy of. So this drawing has been reduced in size from what it was. It's now a smaller building. You'll notice the tower is gone. The office layout has changed. The second floor is no longer furnished or has a second kitchen or anything. So that's their latest proposal. Does anyone want further discussion here, or shall we take that in camera for some discussion?
In camera.
Okay.
It's a very nice picture, very nice plan.
It is. Even got nice trees on it now too.
Yes, yeah.
Because if we're gonna be asking for quotes, I don't think we should be talking numbers
Yep.
in public.
Makes sense. So we'll take the rest of that in camera, but we have received new pictures from them. And there's a little bit of additional information, but I think it would fall under the same idea there. So that discussion will continue. Let's go to correspondence. RCMP March reports. Now, many of you weren't at the G4 meeting, so if you can refer to the second RCMP report, I'll do my best effort to present that to you the same as it was at G4. This is new numbers though. So if you look at page number 18, You'll see there's a pie chart there that shows some numbers. You can probably see them. And on page 19, there's another pie chart that shows some. So I'm just messing with you guys, but that's what it was like at the G4 meeting. We sat there for half an hour through that
I was like,
presentation.
pretty sure you did this to us once already as well.
I'm just gonna keep doing
There's
it.
a lot of
every time you
red,
say
there's a
the
lot of
word.
red in that, a lot of red in that piece of pie there.
There is. Yeah, mostly it's the town of Swan River. This is attached to the public agenda though, so if folks want to take a peek that are watching the meeting, head over to our website, hit up the agenda, and you can see the crime stats. And specifically, you can see how many of the crimes are in Swan River compared to how many there are in Swan Valley West, which might be interesting to some people. Let's move to number 12, committee reports and communications. We can't remember where we started last time, but let's start with Councillor Burick this
No,
time.
Councillor Burick, might as well, yeah. I just, March 28th, I attended a interview. We interviewed 2 people for landfill, and we're supposed to make, I think, a decision today, so we'll discuss that probably in camera. That's all the interviews I attended. There's a few other interviews you had, but I wasn't at home, so. Just a question on PR 275, where's that sitting at? Have you heard anything more about?
With no further communication, the last they've indicated to us is we'll have a meeting before the end of January 2025.
No, it's April.
Yeah, I know. Nothing further from them.
Haven't heard anything. Okay, how about bridge repair? We talked about Brown Bridge repair. Is there anything put forth for,
The tenders has not gone out yet.
when will that go?
Hopefully in the next few weeks. I don't want to promise a date and miss it, but it's on the
And how
radar.
about- what are we
And,
planning with the Ford Crossing again? Is there anything there too?
So we spoke to the engineer a little bit. We asked them what they felt we needed to have done to be ready for a package for grant applications. They said you don't have to have anything more than you have now, but it would be advantageous to have done the ground study to find out exactly what you would need for piers and such. They quoted about $30,000 for that, so we haven't brought that back to council yet. We've been kind of focusing on the landfill. We've been talking to 2 engineers at the landfill to try and get quotes out of both of them, so we can come here with landfill quotes first to get council to make a decision of which landfill engineer. And then we were gonna focus on finding a couple bridge engineers, so we have a couple options there as well. So you folks can make some
Were
decisions.
you talking about the one by the golf course?
Yes. And, kind of waiting to see what runoff is like too, because that'll be part of the decision-making process.
Yeah.
If the bridge is gone by the time the water goes down, it'll be a much more urgent issue than if it's still there.
It'll be a decision to make then.
Okay. One last thing, transportation meeting. Can we have one soon?
We can. Lead hand intends to start coming to these 2. We told him we'd wait 3 or 4 weeks before we put him into the first transportation meeting, so he got his feet under him.
Okay.
So he's 2 weeks into the job now, so ideally, shortly before our next meeting, maybe we could.
You can call one?
Yeah,
Sure.
we'll
Okay,
line
yeah,
up.
no, that's good. I just thought,
We'll try and be a little gentle on him still, just because
Yeah.
he's new, but
no, just that we talked with the previous one about the roads in Ward 6, getting them fixed, so just maybe you can bring it up, not refresh, but bring it up to the new lead hand and just to talk about, so he can plan it or do whatever, so. Yeah, no, that's good.
And Ward 5.
And Ward 5, yeah. That's it.
No dollar.
Thanks. And what? And what's that? What? Just wait, is there something I missed?
Somebody,
Maybe I missed.
there's money changing
There's money
hands
changing
here.
hands there, and there's big money
You're
too.
gonna
It's
have to
not,
up that ante a little.
this isn't 2 cents, this is,
listen,
I went in on this.
we're good Christians. We don't bet more than $1, but we do have a few side bets going on the things you'll bring up each meeting. And the dollar
absolutely.
does go back.
Did I
and
bring
forth.
something up I shouldn't have, or
Ward
something?
No,
6.
we're just-
Ward 6.
Ward 6.
Roads in Ward 6.
Oh, Ward 6.
Well, you're not
okay,
having a
that's-
baby this week, so we're good.
Well, that's coming too, not me, but I
That
mean,
would cost me $1.
I trust. And we can't forget Ward 6, guys.
From the most important ward in the world, we'll go to the one next door, Ward 5. First report.
Ward 1's got the most best roads in the municipality.
you.
Oh, they do?
That's you.
What?
You Ward 5.
Oh, I'm 5, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
well, they're
some-
waiting for you
Yeah,
to
your
report.
report.
Oh, my report. Well, I don't have, after, I can't beat that. Nothing's happened in 2 weeks, so no. I haven't even had a phone call, so
Well,
it's
that's
been
pretty
great.
good.
Not very
Next
perfect.
week it'll change.
Well, better not, I hope not, but.
All right, to Ward 4 we go. Councillor Blosha.
Yeah, I'm just writing down my stuff. I know there. But Ward 6 is taking my thunder, so.
There's no money on you, Carrie, so don't worry about it.
I went,
No money left. Budget's
I
spent.
went to a couple interviews and I have some requests for, I know we sent out new landfill schedules in the mail, but you know how flyers can, what happens to flyers. So I was just wondering if I could get a few more that I could drop off at the post office, please. Had a Health Foundation meeting yesterday and just a regular meeting, but I'm happy to say like the CT transfers and all that have been done. And almost everyone is up to date with their doctor recruitment payments, but not one. So,
Is it us?
no, we're
Okay,
good.
just
And
checking.
yeah, I think that's all I had.
Okay.
It's not us.
Ward 3, if anyone knows who that is.
Nothing to report.
Ward 2.
Move it on to Byron.
Just had a watershed meeting on the 3rd. We're looking to hire another staff member. And they interviewed and we went over the interviews and stuff like that, and we're gonna put out to somebody and see what happens. And that's it.
Alright.
I think they're doing a lot more advertising than watershed, I see in the paper. And
Yeah.
So starting from most recent going backwards, yesterday I was in Benito. We did water training for 2 staff members. So it's just the start of that process, but we ran through everything from going in the plant, checking where we're at, doing all of the testing, how to do backwashing, how to look at the lift station and such. So we'll keep working on that to get them ready for their water so they can start doing that a little more. I was in last week now, we're back to already Thursday. So there's a flood concern in Benito. So I attended that in the evening. Public Works went out then the next day and did some work there to resolve that for them. There's also a snowmobile issue on that day. I received a call from a very irate gentleman about us having dug up a snowmobile trail without any notice so the water could go down a ditch. He was really mad. So he explained how we would be liable for every single person that died and hundreds of thousands of dollars for every injury, and how their liability insurance wouldn't be paying it. They'd be making sure we paid every last cent of it. So we had some words on the phone. And I hung up on him in the end. And I went out to see the snowmobile trail. And it was indeed dug right through, but it wasn't by us. Somebody else had dug through the snowmobile trail. So I called him back, because why wouldn't you at that point when you're actually right? So we apologized to each other, I think, and sort of got through the words we had said to each other. And he said, well, it's no big deal then. And I said, well, no, it is. Because remember 15 minutes ago, everyone was going to die. Now we have to fix it. So we provided some barricades for the snowmobile trail and installed them to keep people from dying where there was a hole in it until they were able to come out and repair the trail. So they still have a couple of our barricades on loan, but those will be coming back to us after a bit. And the snowmobile trail is all better. And we don't have to worry about that. On Wednesday, the 2nd of April, I attended the office for an HR matter that we will be discussing in camera, but you can imagine, seeing how it was the day after the landfill incident, it related to that. On the 1st, I was involved in the landfill incident. On Monday, the 31st of March, we did a little bit of work at the community well. The key switch had stopped working again, and so we've been chasing down what that problem is there, and somebody had broken a key off in it, but now it doesn't work right. So at the moment, I won't say this too loud, no key is required at the community well. There's just a switch for off and on. The new key switch is on its way. So once it comes, we'll issue new keys to everybody, because it'll be a different key, but then it'll be a lock again. But for a couple weeks, it's going to be just a switch you turn on and turn off when you go there to make sure people do get the water they need. I too sat in on some interviews. One of them was that day. I also did some work on our audit. So we have completed pretty much everything with the exception of a couple questions they had about the Sarah Lake Road fiasco that we were just firming up for the auditors. to finish off that year, and then findings will be coming to council so we can get moved on to the next year finally. I was in Benito on Sunday to do a little bit of water work there. We also have completed work on the alarm system at the water plant. So if you break into our water plant now, the police will come and give you a ride back home, probably. It's Manitoba. We could hope they take you to jail, but that's asking a lot. In addition to that, the system now logs every time any staff member comes in or out of the building in a permanent way, so we have an audit record of the fact that we've been to check the water when we were supposed to. It also provides an alarm system for power outages. So 10 seconds after the power goes out in Benito, senior staff are notified by phone that the power has gone out to the water plant and that it needs to be attended to. So that should tighten things up a lot for our water security, but also for making sure that we go when we should when there's a power outage and make sure things are working correctly.
Did you say something about the well there too? Or the
The
plant?
community well.
Oh, what, okay.
No, yeah. I've been to a medical recruitment meeting with Dr. Kazakov. That was an interesting meeting, ran for an hour and a half. So he was making some pitches to medical recruitment committee, and his pitch basically was this. If you're an international medical graduate and you come, so we have 3 coming in September, Prairie Mountain Health pays for you to take a year of training at the University of Manitoba. They pay for your exams, they pay for your wages while you're there. They move you to Swan River. The day you get here, you owe Prairie Mountain Health a certain amount of money. So let's call it $120,000. You have to work 5 years, 4 years, 4 years of full-time work here, and they write that off, forgive it to you. If you leave before that time is up, you owe them all the money plus interest. So 2 years into that time, you pass your exam and you can work at any place in Canada as a doctor. So on that day, you owe about $180,000, including the interest. So if you intend to stay here for 2 more years, you owe nothing. But doctors make a lot of money. It's not uncommon for a doctor here to be making $450,000 a year gross. So if you don't want to stay, and you decide you want to go to Winnipeg or Toronto or Vancouver, the longer you stay, the more money you owe because of the interest. So what we're finding is happening is at the 2-year mark, doctors leave because they just go to Vancouver. Whoever in Vancouver pays out the $180,000 and off they go. So the discussion was that perhaps something should be done about that. His pitch was that we, the taxpayers, should pay down that debt for them so that they don't accrue any more interest. So there's no benefit to leave today instead of a year from now, in hopes they might stay a few more months. It wasn't particularly well received by the medical recruitment committee, because their concern is it would be very, very hard to justify using tax money to pay off a return of service agreement that you should just be fulfilling the agreement for. So I don't see it going anywhere, but it certainly was an interesting look at what's happening. It was an unintended consequence. What used to happen was it was a sliding scale. The longer you stayed, the less you owed. So if you left 1 day early, you maybe only owed $50. But people would leave a year or 2 early and not owe as much money. So it was changed to owing the whole amount until the last day, thinking that will keep people, but it too is actually encouraging them to leave. So there was no solution found to that, but it's an interesting problem that you may not have seen coming. So it's a big discussion was had for quite a while. I also attended an HIV meeting with Prairie Mountain Health and with Dr. Rusin. So I had the opportunity to ask Dr. Rusin questions for a while, which was interesting. What I found most interesting about it is I thought there was a working relationship between Prairie Mountain Health and the province. I'm not so sure there is. From the way that people were acting on that meeting, they were not friends. They weren't working well together. Dr. Rusin was hung out to dry by Prairie Mountain Health at times in the meeting, and he kind of hung them out to dry at times too. I was shocked to see that much headbutting at a meeting with municipal officials. Topics came up, and the big one, we had asked Prairie Mountain Health where the HIV outbreak was. They refused to disclose it to anybody. They said they would never tell, and then Dr. Rusin told the CBC. And we read about it on the CBC instead of being told directly from anybody. So I asked the question, how'd that happen? And some of the Prairie Mountain Health people were hiding their faces because they were laughing that I was asking the question to Rusin. And I was shocked that of these professionals, you know, we had the CEO, we had the second in line, we had the chief medical officer, and they're smirking at the questions that are being asked to Rusin because they're so far separated, even though they're supposed to be on the same page, that they're not working together at all. They set him up a little bit. Nobody warned him what else I do besides being Reeve. So even in the meeting, he got talking about how, well, he doesn't know if there's a radio station in Swan River or not, but if there is one, maybe they could get some advertising for it. And everybody starts laughing again, and I'm thinking, he's ultimately your boss. The idea that you're laughing at him, like if I was in a meeting like that and Chelsea or Kristi hadn't told me those important details, we'd have words after about why you set me up. They set that man up. And I just couldn't believe it. Like the CEO of Prairie Mountain Health is there. And she doesn't say, hey, by the way, this one guy that's coming is a pain in the ass and he's from the radio station. Why wouldn't she tell him? Like if there was any sort of caring there, it was weird. They refused to release any of the numbers I wanted to know about how they were doing on treatment. They certainly led us to believe in the meeting that perhaps a lot of people are not receiving treatment here for HIV, which means they're still infectious. We talked a lot to them about how what they needed to do was education of the community. They needed to teach people that if there's treatment being done, people aren't infectious. We need to actually get that treatment done. I don't know if you guys saw any of the stuff I spoke about online, but with regard to the drawing blood and not getting it on the courier in time. So they have to do this test to be able to get you HIV meds, but they draw the blood, but they don't get it on the courier in time, so it doesn't get to Winnipeg in time, so they throw it out when it gets there. Oh well, test didn't get done, sorry, try again in a month. Like some of that stuff is just mind-boggling that we were letting that happen. So they are bringing some of that test equipment here to be able to do the tests locally, so they don't have these tests timing out, but considering that they are 6 months into the crisis response for an HIV outbreak, I would be surprised if they have 5 of those people on treatment out of the 40 they found. Just from the way they talk and how they say they can't get them to come in for testing, they can't get them to come in for this, they can't force them to take the treatment, they offer them the treatment, but if they're not interested, there's nothing they can do. Like of those 40 people, if there's 5, I'd be shocked, it could be less. And when I say that to them in the meeting, they won't even talk about it. They're certainly not telling me I'm wrong. So it was crazy. We had, prior to that, the cell phones are out. I think you've all got the numbers. Did some HR stuff there, and then we're back to the last meeting. Any further questions, comments, discussion for committee reports?
I haven't gotten any emails or anything for the doctor recruitment meeting. I never know when one is, nothing, and I've checked my email numerous times. So, because you had a meeting,
Yep.
I didn't know about it.
The next one I know of,
I got nothing.
noon on April 24th is the next time there's something scheduled for it.
Yeah, see, I have nothing. I wouldn't have known I have nothing.
And that I got from the town. They sent it out, so they must not be sending it to you yet.
No, I had gotten once before the rig, one.
Do you interface with Mr. White at all?
No,
Okay. Do you want to try pinging him? I'll try and mention it to him too. I did once
it was
before.
Mr. Morio who sent me once.
Okay.
But
So usually it comes from
so
Mr.
April
White.
24th at what time?
Noon on.
Noon.
They're always at noon.
Yeah.
And at
And that
the-
is that particular meeting is with Trina Slate. And that is the discussion of recruitment initiatives from PMH.
Okay, and that's at the.
That'll be at town office.
Okay, thank you. I should have asked before, but I just thought, well, they must not have had.
I'll try and remember to check if you're on that list when I see the emails come
Yeah,
out too, because
that's
I usually
fine.
don't check the list.
Well,
of who it is.
it's also new, so.
Might take a while. Anything else? We are going to take a break for a few minutes. We'll be coming back to go in camera. We are discussing some HR matters. We have some applications to review for both Green Team, landfill, perhaps an operator. There might be a little more HR discussion in there about some other things, and certainly we will be discussing the video fire hall in camera as well. So with that, We will sit in recess for about 10 minutes or so till everybody's back. 13.1, be it resolved that pursuant to section 1523 of the Municipal Act, Council shall meet as a committee of the whole to close the meeting and continue discussions in camera regarding personnel matters, negotiations, preliminary discussions, and investigation or enforcement of an act or bylaw. Is there a mover? Councillor Burick and Councillor Zbirun. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. So going to the in-camera session, we are actually going back to a previous item. So we're going to 9.10 on the agenda, Benito Fire Hall. Be it resolved that Council direct administration to have plans and engineering done for the new Benito Fire Hall. Is there someone to move the resolution? I see Councillor Neely. Is there a seconder? Councillor Kushniryk. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Are there any other resolutions arising from the in-camera session tonight? Does anyone have a notice of motion to present tonight? Hearing none. Be it resolved that this meeting shall now adjourn at 9:34 p.m. Be it further resolved the next meeting is Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 at 7 p.m. Moved by Councillor Blosha and seconded by Councillor Neely.
2 in a row.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That too is carried. Thank you everyone for a good meeting.